All right. Welcome into the half. My name is Aaron Montgomery. This is Erich Campbell. Erich, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. I don't know what to do. It's been too long, man. Thanks for holding down the fort. How the heck are you, sir?
Doing good, busy as usual, but hey, busy doing the things that we love to do. So happy to be here and happy to be having you back on. How was your honeymoon? How was Mexico, man?
It was incredible. Great trip. We spent a week down in Nuevo Vallarta. I'm not saying it right, of course, but
Nice.
this resort called the Vedanta. It was wow. We had like a soaker pool out on the balcony. There was like this negative edge and ocean right there. And yeah, it was definitely a relax and recharge opportunity. And so I appreciate you holding down the fort. And speaking of holding down the fort, we've got Jeff checking in with us. Hello, Jeff. And
by the way, awesome show with Jeff. So thank you, Jeff, for being on last week.
Yeah.
Really good.
I kind of been a little bit nervous in a little bit of a way, though, because the show with Jeff was so awesome. I keep hearing good things about the show with Terry and Jay, and you guys don't really need me anymore. I think I can just
we absolutely need you, though. Jeff, hey, I'm up for a fourth show, Jeff.
All right.
If we want to start another show, I mean, I could do an M Nerd show. I love the Embroidery Nerd group, so you never know.
There you go. Erich, man, you're just going to be live all day.
I'll just be live all day, every day. I am only like maybe 25% joking on that, though. So like, if Jeff wanted to do another show, or if I'll just run onto their show. I'll just be on all the shows somewhere, either behind the camera or in front of the camera. I want to talk more embroidery stuff with everybody all the time. I can't help it.
I love it. I can't
help it. I want to talk all the stuff that we do, and I want to help people. So that's just, and I know it's like every time that sounds like I'm being altruistic, but I also really enjoy doing this. So
you do a good job and you enjoy it. We can tell. All right.
Come on, people. It's good.
Yep, for sure. All right, Ramona, morning. It's good to see you, Aaron. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nice to have you back. It's nice to be back. Thank you so much, Ramona, for saying so. And always good to see you too, Eric. Sorry.
You don't have to say that. I mean, it's better to say Eric back. I'm always here. I'm just kind of like background radiation for the embroidery industry.
There you go. Marianne, thanks for being here. Good morning to you. Justin, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. And Martha, hello. Todd, good to see you again, sir. Good afternoon, Frank.
Out in the UK, Frank.
This is for you, Eric.
And Chuck.
Good afternoon, Eric.
Good afternoon, Chuck.
And then Missy.
If you missed the two other guys this morning, you need to go back and see Missy and Kylene talking all about Mastermind groups. It was really great. So wonderful episode from them. Go back to the two other guys episode after this. I mean, we got 30 minutes.
But
go
wait
back
30 minutes and then you can go
wait
check
30 minutes.
Out.
If you're looking for something else for Education Friday and you missed out on the 2RG, go back, watch that, and they'll talk about how great community can be. And with people like Missy and Kylene in a community, I'm sure they make it great.
Yeah,
really
definitely. And then Lisa, good morning to you. And Todd says Eric will be like a top 20 pop song. We will be all day long.
And probably about as annoying though. But hey,
And then Eric, job offers rolling in as we speak. Christine says, Eric, if you want another producing job, Women Plus Business could use a producer.
See, but this is where I need to find, where is my counterpart among women in embroidery who wants to be like me but be in the space? If you want that and you want me to mentor you, please show up, because I will do it. I would help anyone to do what I do, especially, like I said, if I can help a woman who is wanting to do that and feels like they don't have an entry and wants someone who does do it all the time to bring them in. I am all about that stuff. I want to see everybody's voice. So
there you go.
I mean, would love to produce for you. Would love it better if we could find somebody who could be a woman who has some experience.
All right. Well, let's put that out there, Christine. You find somebody that wants to potentially be the producer, and Eric will teach them
anything I know. Believe me.
So all right. So Rich,
say hello to some more people. Rich, hi, Rich. Happy to have you in.
Christine said, Missy and Kylene were amazing today, and Missy's a hell of a salesperson for Mastermind groups. I agree. We certainly weren't trying to make it a sales pitch for our Mastermind group. I tried to keep that out of there, but the concept of a mastermind, regardless of whether, we'd obviously love you to be part of ours at our success group, but any mastermind, right? Like I mentioned in the Two Regular Guys today, when we first got this started, I actually wasn't in a mastermind at the time. And just watching all the growth and what people were doing, I'm like, yeah, I've got to get back into my own. So not only did I get into one, I'm now in actually two of them. So
well, and I liked what Terry said as well about this, and actually everybody was commenting on this, that it doesn't have to be people in your industry, and sometimes it's almost good if you get more than one. In fact, I've known many people who keep a couple of groups going, or at least a couple of communities going, where they have maybe a local business community, which is all just business people who are in different businesses specifically. So they're talking about different things, and they're also not in any direct competition necessarily. And then also a group of people who has the same kind of struggles who are in their industry. And I think there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, Eric. So thanks for sharing that.
For sure.
Ramona, we'll get back to yours in just one second, because I want to. Todd said this producer thing sounds like a new reality show that should happen.
I couldn't fire anybody though. I would just bring everybody on forever. I don't want to do that. I just want more people to do more cool stuff. That's it.
There you go. Todd's like, are you the next producer? Yes.
That just sounds like I'm trying to get somebody to take over for me sometimes, which is probably a good idea, but still.
Actually not a bad idea at all, Eric. So, but then Sandy does follow up with, sounds like a job for Missy. I actually, that is maybe not too far from reality. So Missy, there you go. Right? You've been called out. Maybe you are the producer of Women Plus Business podcast.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
All right. So Ramona asked, does anyone know the max top to bottom stitch area for Racoma MT 1501? I have a client that's looking for the information.
I'll be honest and say you're going to have to probably talk to Racoma on that one, because I do not know the machine by heart. So if someone else out there has the MT 1501 and wants to chime in, please feel free. Otherwise, I'm surprised their specs aren't widely available online, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I'll be honest with you on that.
Okay. All right. And clearly I don't know. So I'm not even sure what that is. I mean, obviously it's an embroidery machine, but
it's a 15 needle single head embroidery machine. Generally, a lot of those numbers actually mean something.
Oh, okay.
They're not they don't always, but
I've learned something new today. I love it. All right. So Marianne says, I have 3 ladies coming in from California to train with me in August. They totally want to start an embroidery business. So looking forward to helping them, as I had someone help me 20 yeyears ago. There you go. Mm-hmm. So helping others, and Marianne, you're going to get so much out of that too. You're helping them, but I think you'll find that the value in it for you as well. So good job on you.
Sure. Mentoring really does open you up, and the more you teach something, the more you know it. It's just the truth.
Yeah. And then Missy says to Kylene, it's hard not to want everyone to have the same benefits and experiences that I've had in my badass group. So
yeah, for sure.
And then, all right, so we're making connections here. Maybe, I don't know.
We're just matchmaking behind the scenes. I'm telling you, that's how you got to do it. Well, it would be behind the scenes, but we're literally on a show live, so it's hard to be behind the scenes while it's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me bring this in. We got Jeff. By the way, thank you, Jeff, for this. From the factory, it's 2 inches. So thank you, Jeff, for actually checking that out. You can open it up further in the settings. And I just have to bring this in. Jeff saying, one day I'd like to help somebody in the embroidery business. Jeff, come on, man. You help somebody in the embroidery business every day. You did it last night live. You do it all the time. And I'm actually going to shout out Jeff and Justin. Justin's got his 3D foam. Third session of his 3D foam class happening tomorrow. And I'll put up links later. But yeah, go check it out, embroiderynerd.com. They're doing their advanced 3D foam techniques, and there's some really cool stuff that I'll actually talk about on my show, because I'm going to talk about competitions and contests, and they did a real fun thing where they kind of had a cool puff contest where they were doing puff stuff back and forth. A lot of people jumped in and showed their work, and I think that it was probably one of the more wholesome, if you would say, contests that I've seen, where everybody came in and was just like, man, that's cool. Here's what I did. Man, that's cool. And I like that. Here's what I like about it. And people brought in stuff that was pretty simple, as well as stuff that was really complex. So it was really cool to see people just sharing their work and being boosters. It's something you don't always see. So like I said, today on the Take Up, I'm going to talk a lot about that and contests and awards and all that, because I've been kind of involved in that space on multiple angles. from winning to judging to what have you. So
Cool.
I think that's going to be interesting to talk about. But yeah,
Yeah.
you got Jeff, you're helping all the time. The embroidery nerd guy's helping all the time. So
Yep.
big fan here.
Love it. And speaking of competitions and judging and the next reality show of who the producer is going to be, Todd mentions Eric would be the Paula judge. Only nice things to say.
You would think that, but here's the secret behind me judging contests. When I was judging the Golden Needles for Stitches, I was the Simon judge. I was the bad guy because every time I'd be like, yeah, this is a lovely design. It looks really interesting, has a lot of visual interest and texture. I wouldn't put it on my machine because it won't run, because here's all this heavy stuff. I can see where there are thread breaks happening. And we were testing the things and like, this is not production friendly. That is not production friendly. So what is horrible is I am a booster to try and help you get better. But if you break a needle on my machine, I'm going to say so in your registration. I'm going to say so in the packet I turn back in.
That's funny.
Sorry, folks. I hate to say I am
Simon.
super nice, super helpful, but I will absolutely call you out if all of your density is in a 2mm space on your design.
That makes me feel, I don't know if I should feel bad or good about when you were at Impressions judging those, the Impressions Awards. You were over there judging, and I happened to be nearby with my camera. Mm-hmm. I took a picture and posted it and said, Eric is so judgy.
It's so true. I've used those pictures many times, and the truth of the matter is, like, I want everybody to do better, and I will always call it what you've done well. But there are some things where back in the day, a lot of the submissions would come into those contests, and they were great art project pieces. They looked great on the face, but when the judging rubric said this is a production piece that we're trying to judge, I was like, here are all the things that would never work if I ran 100 of these or 1,000 of these.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's more to it. I've written several times about there's more to machine embroidery than how it looks. And especially for the commercial world, you kind of have to have some of that in your head. I actually think it makes stuff nicer too. I think it makes stuff look nicer and feel nicer when you wear it. But yeah, that production stuff, I can't help it.
Yeah,
I can't help it.
That's a big part. I mean,
yeah,
it's not an art competition. It's an embroidery competition, and that whole process. I just got done judging the Skills USA competition, and watch these kids kind of go through, and there were different times where I was watching them, going, okay, I get it, right? I like some of them were talking about, like one kiddo was kiddo. They're high school kids, so kiddo is not the right word. Sorry. One of these young people, amazing. Again, first and foremost, just totally impressed. So I think we've got a great future ahead of us here. Mm-hmm. But there were definitely some places where one was using both spray tack adhesive and tape, and pretty much felt like they were using a roll of tape every piece. And I get it. They didn't want the ghosting, and they were trying to make sure it was perfect. But when you look at that from a production standpoint, first off, you can't make any money because you're going to spend all your profit on tape. And secondly, the amount of time that it takes to do that, I get that it's a competition, but is also this side of, it kind of was also set up like a job interview, right? If you're going to come work in my production facility, what do you bring to the table? And, so some of those things, you kind of look at and go, okay, I get it, but how can you do that faster and better with less waste and still come up with a sellable result? And so that's that balancing act for sure.
Oh no, I mean, that's one of those things that we talked about with people where it's like, I understand very much that you're trying to make the stunner piece, and I've done it myself, where you make a big stunner piece that just doesn't run that well. Or you do, and actually the coolest thing, and I'm going to call out because they did really great. Jeff and Justin both, they talked about failing on their samples. And I was just like, I was so behind them on this, because here are these two people. Justin's been in the business for as long as I have, and he's been digitizing, and he digitizes professionally. And for him to come out and say, I did 6 samples of that hat. And yeah, it was weird. It didn't turn out the first few times. And once I got it, but I had to do a bunch of samples. And I ruined a bunch of stuff. And then also Jeff came out and he was using weird material. I believe he was using ray skin or something. He was using a weird leather, and he's like, it broke needles all the time. We were wearing safety glasses while I was running. This is not something I would do for production. It's one of those things where you're like, you can do creative stuff outside the box and know, hey, this is not my production work that I'm going to show for everybody.
Yeah.
And the fact that they shared that despite being in a position where you didn't have to. all of us know that we get that Instagram version of shops where they're showing you all this awesome work they do. Let me tell you how much of my work was single color junky text.
Yep.
Tons of it. Most of my work wasn't jacket backs. In fact, why you see me showing the same 15 awesome stunner jacket backs, because over a career of 20 years, you might sometimes only do a few real big masterpieces. Most of what you're going to do, American flag on a sleeve and a company name here and a name over the back of the cap and the logo dead front.
Yeah.
A lot of what you're going to do is staples. And so it's like showing that stuff, and also showing the fact that sometimes when you're doing, especially a new technique, especially something outside of the box, you're going to fail in the process, and that's okay. And that's also normal.
Totally.
So really cool. So I got to call him out and say it's awesome.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, Terry talks about that in the screen printing side of things. You know, he always references Jim's Towing. I always joke that man, that Jim's Towing must buy a lot of screen printing, because Terry talks about them all the time. But it is that it's that 1 and 2 color, left chest, name and number on the back kind of thing, and that's more normal. But again, how do you juggle that quality? Here's another quick story on that, and then I think we can tie this up. Yeah, I remember at a point we were at a trade show, and one of our vendors showed up to support us at a trade show, and they bring in all these samples, and my God, they were incredible, some of the stuff. But then we started talking about, okay, well, how did you do this, and how did you do this? Oh, well, that was pressed 8 times. And you cold peel this layer, and then I'm like, so that had to take you several hours for one shirt, right? And so, what are you going to tell people to sell that shirt for? Because I don't think I can, easily say to somebody, yeah, you get results like this, but you'd have to sell that shirt for $100 just to break even, right? So it is that juggle between what can we do and what can we make money at.
There's definitely a balancing act to be had. I always tell people you can sell anything for the proper price if you find the right market for it. But we all know that there's certain things that the market's just not there, and we have to be realistic about it too. But the thing that Jeff was saying last night in his live on the Embroidery Nerd, and it's something I kind of agree with. You show some of that work, and you understand that when you show this impressive work. That's something I always tell people. Number one, do show the work you want to do. So if that's the kind of work you'd like to take on, show it, but be honest about pricing, be honest about times. Number two, that kind of work often just lends credence to you as a professional so that someone else can see it. Now, I'm not talking about the 80 hours on one piece crazy stuff like we're talking about here, but I'm saying when you do work that's non-standard, when you do some crazy 3D puff stuff, when you use threads that maybe aren't normal for every job, you got to get a ton of metallics or something reflective or something, when you do multimedia printing plus embroidery, and it's something that it's a little out of your scope, but not really, it's something interesting that not everybody does. That stuff just shows, hey, I'm capable of pushing my medium into something interesting. If you want it, we can do it. But often what they do is they go, oh, wow, that big jacket back you did with the motorcycles and the stuff and the horses and smoke, that's super cool. Yeah, can I get TLC plumbing over my left chest with 3 bars of color, red, white, and blue? And that's what you do. But the thing is, they trust you to do that because they know you can do so much more.
Yeah.
So there is a point to having it there for sure, showing that work. But you do have to be realistic when you show it, because like I've got pieces that I never showed while I was working commercially, because I knew someone would look at that and go, oh, we want to do that. And I'm like, oh, we lost ourselves on it. That was an art project. We couldn't make money. We couldn't charge what we wanted to. When people came in with a budget, we thought we could hit it. By the time we were done, we didn't hit the budget, and we gave them the stuff. There are jobs like that happen. And especially when you're doing like multimedia, extra materials, learning new stuff on the fly. Yeah. Sometimes you have to understand that stuff is marketing. And if it doesn't turn out to be profitable for you, you may have to decide how deep do I want to go into it, though you learn a lot in the process.
Sure. All right. Well, let's get back into the comments here, Eric. Back a little ways here. Ramona was thanking Jeff, and Justin says it was a ton of fun. So that's good.
You did really great pieces too. Justin had some awesome work. So go check out their stuff on their group.
Todd says a puff contest. What kind of show am I watching?
3D puffy foam. It's an embroidery thing.
The sharing was awesome. It was an amazing experience. And then I think we may have actually made a connection here, Eric. Missy says, oh man, working with Christine, dream come true. I'm open to it. So there we go.
So much better. So much better.
Yeah.
All you got to do is learn to click some buttons. You can do
there
this.
you go. There you go. All right. So I was trying to give you like a weird high five, but
I'm never good at this like wrong side thing.
Yeah. So Todd and I have done that, and we look even worse. So, all right. So Justin says it was a ton of fun. Oh, we covered that one already. Sorry. Let's see here. They only know what they were taught. Oh, we're talking about the Skills USA
sure.
folks, and who's teaching dunking. Yeah.
Dunking the hot cup in the water thing. Yeah,
good. I know who's out there promoting dunking still, and it
we don't have to call somebody out.
It's a Band-Aid for old bad coating on mugs. That's the only reason that people used to have to dunk. All right. You don't have to do it anymore. And you're going to actually start putting micro cracks in your mugs.
Especially if you do thermal shock. If it's cooler water with a hot mug, you're definitely going to cause some thermal issues.
Like, oh, I always use warmer water, lukewarm water or whatever. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That change of temperature that fast, unless your water's, 350 degrees, and then your next bath is, you just can't step it down like that. It just doesn't work. So
I've heard more people crack than not, but I'm on your camp with this one. This is one of those ones where it's like you fall into a camp. I hate to say this is like stabilizers too in embroidery. We fight back and forth about how much and what to use. I'm a light stabilizer person. Some people are heavy stack people.
Speaking of heavy stack, you saw the picture I shared from the resort, right?
Aaron showed this picture of this, like, so here we are in a resort with this nice golf shirt and it's performance wear, and it had a stack of like 3 heavy cutaway backings in it. And I was like, all that stabilizer. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
And it was cut just jagged, sharp points. You could feel that thing on your skin just looking at the picture.
But they're selling that thing in a place where they're selling shorts and like polo shirts. Like there was $150 pair of shorts, and there was like this was actually something that was a cheap T-shirt with embroidery on it. I don't know. It just didn't seem right. So
there are places where it doesn't belong as much, but you can kind of see that real heavy cutaway.
I'll post it in the comments later.
It looks rough.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things I'm always telling people, that part of the experience of a garment, and I mean, it shouldn't even be a question, part of the experience of a garment is wearing it. If it feels terrible on you, nobody wants the dang thing later. And I mean, you do have to think about that stuff. And putting a triple stack of stabilizer in your, especially like heavy cutaway, in your very loosely like knit, nice little polo shirt is a bad plan.
Yeah,
I think it's a bad plan. Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it from people several times. They're like, oh, well, you need more stabilizer. I'm like, okay. No, once it's dimensionally stable, you need to watch what you're doing everywhere else. Though I'm gonna call myself out. I was doing micro font testing, really, really small font testing, and I was running at incredible speeds. And I had to stop myself and go, okay, I've made my own problem there. I'm increasing my tension. I'm like, why is this looking so rough? And I'm like, dude, you know that there's a maximum speed that you're going to be wanting to run this thing at this small size, at this level. And I had to call myself and go, all right. Even I know.
All right. Jeff said, I had my first successful sublimation yesterday. Was extremely happy that it worked like it was supposed to. Nice. I may or may not struggle with sublimation a little bit. Sublimation is an art, though. I think out of all the decorating techniques, the variables that are involved in sublimation are a bit of a challenge. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that like it's not you can't make a science out of it, but there's still going to be some sort of a bit of an art to the different substrates and understanding pressure and heat and how the inks interact with all that and stuff like that. So,
and being kind of someone who did a fair amount of it and never got to the science stage, if you ask me, I'm going to say, ghosting and on different items, I struggled with it through the whole time doing desktop sublimation. I struggled with it off and on throughout.
Yeah, totally. All right. Christine says, I will always love the designs you created for Q104, Eric. I'm sad that stuff never caught on. Don't know how practical it would have been for production, though.
It was a heavy wash away topping, really thick, like almost looked like a quilt batting, and you could do these big loose stitches. It was great for retail because you had to launder your garments after.
Wow.
And I had customers who loved it when I used it. And even the sample amounts we had after they discontinued it, I had customers who stuck around with me because I was the only one able to produce Q104 stuff that had that heavy, loose look. But it's one of those things where it's like, And we talk about like the experience of garments. Part of what people expect, it's hard. They want to have this crisp garment that comes out looking like it came out of the box from your distributor. They want that crisp look, but the truth of the matter is that's not how the garment's really going to look. And some of the stuff we do would be better off if we wash the garment. We can't do that. We can't take the sizing off the garment. We can't wash it. And I get it from the presentation standpoint. There are days where I really wish I was in retail, like I was doing a clothing line or something else like that, so that I had the longitude to say, or the latitude to say, I'm going to go ahead and do a wash cycle. I'm going to go ahead and do all this other prep instead. I would love to be able to do that stuff. But I did love doing that stuff, and doing those designs was really great.
Cool. All right. Christine says, we'll talk, Missy. I'd love to have a producer. Would help take the show to the next level. There we go. Nice.
Oh, man. Such a win, man. What a great day.
Definitely. Jeff says, I dunk in donuts. Yep. There you go. That's it. I've got some
dunk donuts, not mugs.
Yeah. I've got some animal crackers here, coffee. That's where you'll find me dunking. That's the only dunking I ever do. All right. Christine says, I don't embroider, and I know that's wrong. Of course, I do know stabilizers. Why would anyone do that? So I don't embroider, and I don't know stabilizers, and I still don't know why anybody would do that.
You start to have a garment that stretches, and what you want to do is arrest the stretch, because the stretch is causing problems with your garment. You're getting puckering. It doesn't look good. The embroidery doesn't look good. So what do you think? If I put more stuff that doesn't stretch behind it, it'll not stretch. I get it. But the thing is, mostly that's like you're treating this symptom that's probably something wrong with the digitizing or the way you're running it. And the other thing I've seen, and I hate this, because I had operators who did this that I had to have heart-to-hearts with. They would do heavy garments with one stabilizer sheet of whatever type, and then they would go to a lighter garment, and rather than adjust their hoop tension, rather than tighten the hoop up, they would stack more stabilizer in it so it was tight. I mean, there are no words for how I felt about this. I was like, no,
but how did you really feel, Eric?
The way I really felt, I can't say, because I don't want to be foul this early in the morning.
Nice. And Christine says a lot. Good. Yeah. A lot of times Christine says, a lot of times it's just embroiderers not knowing their stabilizer options. They don't know all the types that are available.
And they may be in a shop that really doesn't buy into it. And if you're the operator and your people won't buy the stabilizer you need, you run with what you have. What I will say, though, is when you have that super heavy cutaway, you only need one no matter what. And at this point, I still wouldn't use that heavy cutaway on those sport shirts, but if I had to use it, if someone said, these are the samples you have, this is what you can use, I would have only used one sheet, please. Oh my gosh, no more than that. And I would have cut it carefully so I didn't have sharp corners coming off of it, because that stuff's so stiff that I'm telling you, it would feel like somebody poking a shard of credit card into you all day long. It's not going to be comfortable. Hey, that's me.
Christine says, we will teach you some things about embroidery at the Applique Getaway. I'm going to get video of you embroidering something.
See,
I'm
now
excited.
The trick is video of him embroidering, and then we sublimate that on something. We need to take a snap out of the video, and then we sublimate that on a mug. That's what I need. I need that in my life.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm actually really excited. It's funny, I've been in this industry for 20 plus years now, and I mean, I've stood next to embroidery machines all day at trade shows, and I can still feel my jaws kind of.
No comment on the brand that rattled your teeth, but okay.
But I've literally never embroidered a single thing. So this will be an exciting experience. All right. So Ramona, I think this is a tongue-in-cheek question, I'm assuming.
For sure.
You mean I'm not supposed to build up my fabric with stabilizer to make them all the same, like 10 sheets of tearaway for the tool?
See, the real trick is don't start with a Carhartt and then hoop up a sport shirt and then build up the layers, because no one wants to wear your 1/4 inches of stabilizer. But hey.
Oh yeah. Hey, Becky's got a really good point here, I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here or not. But Becky says Madeira has a nice little wheel that tells you what stabilizer to use with what. When in doubt, check the wheel. So what
I'll say is I tell people to go ahead and look at manufacturers and see what they recommend. The worst you can do is find out it doesn't work quite as well, but I'll tell you, most of the time, like densities and settings and stuff, if you've got Madeira showing you, it's probably better than something you've invented. Or if you're struggling, start from what is recommended for that thread and then move on. It's like I say with materials too, start with an actual material that's made for embroidery and then start doing crazy experimental stuff down the road. Because if you can't use the actual material and make it work, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And then Christine says, Eric, Katie Wuban is going to be at Applique Getaway with a machine. Don't you think she'd be great to instruct Aaron?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, Katie, though, I have to say, if you're going to instruct Aaron, I do have one little piece of advice for you.
Always a good time.